Oh, welcome back to another Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing Blue-Black Faeries, and this time we are running up against a Jund deck. Let's see if we can get underway. I think we are going to be on the play here. This is a little bit too risky to keep, I think. This is not quite the most exciting hand, but I suppose got some disruption, which will hopefully fend off our opponent for a bit. Lead off with River of Tears into an Inquisition, and we see Abrupt Decay, Lightning Bolt Terminate, and Liliana of the Veil. Difficult choice really. I guess we kind of want to get rid of Liliana in general. The other cards are quite annoying. Abrupt Decay would be annoying if we drew Bitter Blossom, but we'll see. I think we just want to take Liliana, given that the other cards also aren't going to get played early and aren't early threats. Yeah, so we just get rid of Liliana. So we don't have to worry about her. So this is a tough one. Given that we don't have another black source, River of Tears is only a black source when I've played a land. I think we're just going to run out the Inquisition here. Again, our opponent doesn't have a whole lot going on. I don't think he's going to run out any of the other cards on turn 2 that we saw, so if he did happen to draw a Goyf or something along those lines, then it seems worth taking a look. Hand hasn't changed a great deal. I think we probably just want to take Bolt here. I mean, it kills most things in our deck. I suppose we could have taken the Abrupt Decay in the case we drew Bitter Blossom, but I think we just take Bolt. More of the threat to our life total in general. Also, Terminate's not really a consideration given that we've got Spell Snare. Draw Thought, so you can't play it, but not too worried about that given that we have Mana Leak. Keep up anyway. Can't play Treetop Village, which is fine. Another Mana Leak, so not doing great on the land front here. But opponent's not doing a great deal either, so at least we've got that going in our favour. One plays Raging Ravine, attacks with the Treetop Village. Fortunately, there's not a whole lot we can do about that. Polluted Delta allows us to Thoughtseize here. So we see Kitchen Finks and the other cards we already really knew about in the swamp. Going to get rid of the Kitchen Finks, I reckon. Again, could have taken Abrupt Decay given that we have Mana Leak for Kitchen Finks, I suppose. Also, that would have discouraged attacking with the Treetop Village this turn, I suppose. So maybe that would have been a better play. Thinking about it, Put plays Blackcleave Cliffs, so that must have been what he drew. So, fairly aware of his hand. We draw a Bitter Blossom, which again, less good given that we know he's got an Abrupt Decay in his hand, and we can't counter that with Spell Snare or anything because it is uncounterable. So yeah, thinking about it now, I think we probably should have Thoughtseized away the Abrupt Decay and then countered his Kitchen Finks on the way down. But just going to run out the Bitter Blossom here. It forces him to use the Abrupt Decay. Then we take another 3 from this Treetop Village, which is definitely becoming an issue for us. Taking a lot of damage from this Treetop. Going down to 8 here. Got Sign of Una, which isn't going to do us a whole lot of good. It's a 3/3 Trampler. And our opponent's kind of close to activating Ravine as well, which is an issue. Actually just passes the turn here, which seems a bit odd. I'm not sure if that was an accident. Also, we know our opponent has loads of removal, which is the other thing that I forgot to mention in terms of Sign of Una. Ran it out there, but obviously he got eatable. One can activate his Treetop and his Raging Ravine here, which is enough to kill us, I think. Oh no, one off enough to kill us. We can start chumping with Moot Vaults, but I think this game is pretty much over. So yeah, managed to lose to a Jund deck that doesn't really play any spells, which is pretty poor to be honest. But yeah, I think we drew pretty badly. overall, and didn't really work out too great for us. So let's go into game 2, see if our fortunes hopefully change for the better. Going to be on the play. This hand is acceptable, but not ideal. I probably kept it there, I imagine. Yeah. So just going to lead off with a tar pit. I don't think we need to Thoughtseize on turn 1 desperately. Not a lot of turn 1 plays for Jund decks in general. With an Inquisition, which is going to take a Thoughtseize away from us, which is fine. Great problems with that. Drago for the throat, which is nice. Answer a Tarmogoyf or something along those lines. So just run out of land and pass the turn. Obviously, no reason to Snapcaster or anything at this stage. Thoughtseize is, I decided to drop the Snapcaster rather than allowing him to take it, and then we have a beater. Maybe that was the wrong choice. Maybe we were better off him taking the Snapcaster and us keeping our other 2 cards, but I don't think that would have been great. I'm happy with him taking the go for the throat rather than the Cryptic in general. But Lightning Bolts. Also, the other thing I haven't picked up on his opponent's actually completely mana screwed. So yeah, he's having a rough time of it by the looks of things. So yeah, Snapcaster eats a bolt, so we're not really applying any pressure either, but we do have Tar Pit, which is a potential source of pressure. And I'm just going to get in here. I could have Inquisition, but given that I know that his hand's probably just a lot of expensive spells that he can't cast off 1 mana, I'm just going to apply the pressure on his life total and put him down to 10. And doesn't find a land again, which is unfortunate for him. Good for me. Seems to be lagging a little bit here. There we go. So we're going to be able to Inquisition our opponent, make sure he doesn't have a bolt or anything in his hand, and then we can activate the Tar Pit again. Thinks about using his Lightning Bolt, which you see he has in hand. I have no idea why he didn't do that. It's supposed to protect me from taking his Confidant or his Abrupt Decay, I guess. Probably would have taken Confidant if he had Lightning Bolt me directly. So yeah, we're going to take the Lightning Bolt obviously, so we can attack through. I guess he protects his hand by not Lightning Bolt me to the face, and there isn't a great deal of advantage to be gained from that, so I suppose it makes sense. But yeah, take the Lightning Bolt, and then we're going to attack him for 3 again, put the opponent down to 7. And finds his second. Should be happy about that. We draw Vendilion Click, which is great. Just going to play this on his draw step and force him to do something about it, because he's going to have to answer it, and if he does, that means he's probably going to be tapped out, which again is great for us, because we're just going to get in with our Tar Pit if he does that. Also, we have Spell Snare, so if he chooses to do terminate rather than Abrupt Decay, then we just counter and then he's dead. So puts us in a great position, really, which is why we're going to do it. Looks like the opponent thinks about terminating because he actually taps the red mana, but obviously with us 2 mana up, I think the sensible thing to do is to use the Abrupt Decay, which can't be countered, but then leaves him with not a whole lot going on. Again, he did draw a land. I think we're just going to leave him with this hand. It looks like he drew a bolt here, so I think we can let him keep that. Although we can try and get rid of the bolt instead. Given that he's just got no land and nothing to do, I think maybe we just leave him with... Can't remember what I did. Yeah, I just leave him with that. So a Murderous Cut, which isn't particularly useful at the moment, but could kill Confidant if you wanted to play it, but given his life total, I don't think Confidant is a good play. Figure, which is fine because we're just going to murderous cut it. We don't necessarily have to murderous cut it, but it means he doesn't have any pressure on the board to apply, and therefore forces him to start doing something or other. Then plays a third land and passes. Obviously at 3, so can't really afford much else to happen. You're a Moot Vault, which again, boom if the Creeping Tar Pit doesn't, I imagine. Punt plays Stomping Ground and taps, going down all the way down to 1. We draw another Moot Vault, which is awesome. We might go for the Mistbank click here on upkeep. Can't remember if we do or not. Our opponent just concedes anyway to seeing our second Moot Vault, so obviously didn't have enough answers to all our man lands, and yeah. So in this turnaround of events, actually we managed to win without playing any creatures. He played then didn't click, I suppose, but it did immediately die. So yeah, it was actually our man lands that got us through, just like he got his man lands through in game 1. So turnaround of events. Probably did get a bit mana screwed there, but managed to take advantage of. So come down to the decider. This is a fairly reasonable hand. We've got Inquisition, spells that are sprite to counter and small spells he happens to have. We've got the Tar Pit, which has proved very good in the last game, and Go for the Throat to kill off Tasigur, Tarmogoyf, and any of the other various threatening creatures our opponent may have. What Inquisition does, takes our Inquisition, passes it back to us. Just going to Tar Pit here, I think. Don't have anything else to do. But we need the mana for on turn 1. Draw Sword and Fire and Ice, which could be good potentially in the future. Opponent goes straight in with an attack with the Treetop Village, which seems bizarre, particularly as he knows our hand. Definitely just going to kill that because it sets him back a mana as well. So very happy with that. There's another Treetop Village to replace the other one, but again that's not great for him as it means he doesn't have 3 mana for that turn. Not really sure what he's working with in his hand, I guess, but still think the activate Treetop on turn 3 was probably not a great idea, particularly given that he knew that we had a removal in our hand. Liana, which we can't really do much about, unfortunately. But next turn we can, if we drop spells to Earth Sprite at end of turn and then hook it with a sword with this 5th land we've got, we can kill off Liliana, so that works out pretty nicely. So we've got to decide what we want to discard here. I think it's to dismember. We need the land if we're going to hook up the sword, and yeah, so I think it's going to have to be the dismember, unfortunately. We can always snapcast the back of the dismember though, so Spellstutter, Sword, Fire and Ice, attack. Kind of mess that up. I suppose we can't really actually. Yeah, so I attack the Liliana directly, so I can't actually kill it so much. It's kind of a difficult one because Sword doesn't actually activate if you don't hit a player, so I could have attacked him directly, but then I would have only put Liliana down to 2, and then he could have edicted away the Spellstutter Sprite, which would put us in a slightly more difficult position. So we have to attack Liliana directly, put her down to 1, and then he does get another bite of the cherry in terms of making us discard. And potentially, if he had a removal spell for Spellstutter, that doesn't work out well for us. So maybe I should have attacked directly, and then at least he's forced to edict away his Liliana and get rid of it. Kind of a difficult choice. I don't feel like attacking Liliana was great, but at the same time, I don't think it worked out too badly for us. So we get rid of Spell Snare. opponent activates Treetop Village and attacks, which is... We're going to attack our opponent directly this time, killing off the Liana and draw a card. And just pass over the turn. We Snapcaster up. Not sure what's in our graveyard. No, we've got Spellsnare, Dismember, go for Throat Inquisition. So this Tarmogoyf isn't going to get very far. So we Snapcaster, we're going for the Spellsnare there, just to counter away that Tarmogoyf. And yeah, our opponent ends up conceding, which is probably a bit premature, but it's actually down to 2 cards in hand, and we've got a fairly dominating force in terms of this Sword and Fire and Ice, and a number of different creatures / man lands to hook it up to, which our opponent is clearly not going to be capable of dealing with, so he ends up wrapping it up just there. So yeah, managed to work out pretty nicely against this Jund deck. Not necessarily an easy matchup, and our opponent perhaps didn't have the best of draws. He didn't seem to drop a lot of threats, had a lot of removal and not a lot of threats when if he was able to pressure us more, it might have been a more difficult matchup for us, but yeah, as it played out, worked out pretty well for us, and managed to get the win.